Can I use your this thing?
Yes. What's wrong with you? Just take it.
ये हफ्ता मेरे लिए काफी ऐसे ही था मुझे ब्रदर लोग फोन मैं अपनी गाड़ी यूज कर सकता हूँ
चीजों से रिश्ते बढ़ेंगे खैर और आ जाए हाँ वो मेरा बहुत ख्याल है
All right, I got Afaz, Essen, Binish, Fase,
Sorry.
Fase, Hashir, Uteja, Zara, and Asma. Legends. Love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is call number 4, diving into week 4 of our transformation challenge. And this fall, we're going to be covering 3 topics, which we mentioned on the group earlier. As usual, you guys are welcome to drop messages during the chat with your questions, and at the end of the call, we will go over to the best of our ability to answer those questions. The first, the reason why we want to talk about how to make better choices when it comes to eating out is because there are certain people, obviously there have been people, weekends, people eat out, etc., etc. Even today, like we as a team were out eating. We saw several people that were having breakfast at Evergreen. Yeah, like the group where Imran and all were there. Obviously, people, weekends, we tend to eat out, order in, deliver, whatever it is. So it's a very important part of our lives. अभी पूरी transformation हो जानी थी मुंह के बल. Sorry guys. So we're going to go over a little bit about how we can make better choices when we're eating out. And I'm going to go into specific examples of how that can happen. So let's take, I'm going to take 2 examples. The first one is going to be the pictures that we saw from Evergreen. And the second one is going to be, we went to Test Kitchen for breakfast. Okay? So I'm going to use real life examples to give better suggestions of how we can stick to our nutrition intake while eating out. So the simplest thing is that, let's say you're going to Evergreen and you are craving their pancakes, right? Now, you should eat them. You shouldn't think that the pancakes are wrong or they're not good. But what you can do is you can request them to give you the syrup on the side instead of drizzling it all over on the pancake and the entire dish. What that can do is that it can give you the pancakes in its raw form, right? Dry form, sorry. And then what you can do is you can still have the syrup, but you can have it in a little bit more, let's say, controlled manner. So instead of just consuming that extra syrup that's just all around the plate, maybe you can just dip it and then the overall quantity of that syrup will be limited, right? This is just a very minor, small example. The other thing is, let's say you are eating eggs, right? And let's say you're eating them at Evergreen or Test Kitchen, or whatever it is. A lot of times what happens is that when people are ordering these kind of dishes, it's very easy to request someone to increase the protein intake in them, right? So for example, you'll see scrambled eggs on the menu. You can ask them, right? You can ask them, hey, how many eggs do you guys use in these scrambled eggs, right? And they'll tell you, they'll say, we use 2 eggs. You know that you're on a challenge right now that is encouraging you to be on a slightly higher protein diet than fat and carbs. So you can always request them that, hey, do you mind putting using only egg whites do you mind using the egg whites for the scrambled eggs instead of adding the yolk? Or you can say that, hey, can you add an extra egg white so that you know that one egg has around about 8 to 9 grams of protein, but you want to try and hit at least 24 to 30 grams. So 2 eggs won't do it, and you can still hit your protein intake while eating out. The other thing you can request them to do, you can request them to use healthier fats to make your eggs. So for example, most of the restaurants use canola oil to make their eggs, right? Or to fry whatever they are going to fry. You can always request them to make them in butter, right? Probably a better solution than a canola oil, right? I don't know if it's a fancy restaurant, maybe they have olive oil or not. Maybe they'll increase your ticket of the meal, like the price might go up, but it's still going to be worth it. Then comes to things like the bread, right? So again, this might be a bit of a buzzkill, but what you're thinking is like, hey, can I kind of request them for a brown bread, even though the eggs actually come with white bread? And a lot of times you'll be surprised how accommodating these restaurants are. They will actually have solutions and options for you, right? So for example, I'll give you one example today, which was at Test Kitchen, right? I knew that I was going to have eggs, so I requested them to use more egg whites versus the egg yolk. They said, cool. I requested them to make my eggs in butter. They said, cool. I requested them to swap my potatoes for mushrooms, which was cool. So overall, I still enjoyed the meal, which I wanted, but I just made better substitutions on the plate. And that way I was still able to maintain whatever calories I'm on. Those are some of the examples. Now, let's say you're eating out or you're going out for dinner or lunch, whatever it is. There's always healthier options on the menu, right? And you don't always have to go with them, right? But you can always find them. So again, go and have the steak. If you want to have a steak, have the steak, right? Is that? Right. If you want to have a steak, have the steak. But just like I gave an example of the protein pancakes with the syrup, ask them to put the sauce on the side instead of like smothering it with that sauce that they cook the steak in, right? That way, you will know that this is the portion which is going to add the most value to me, which is the meat, and then the sauce on the side is just there for a little bit of taste, which I can have in a more controlled manner. The other way of doing it is also portion controlling. When portion controlling comes into place, you mean like what? Like
you order, you eat whatever you want, but divide it and you
right. So you can. So for example, you've gone out for a meal with your friends. There are 4 people on the table. You don't have to order a dessert for yourself if everyone else is. You just take a bite of each one, everyone else's. You still crave your sugar cravings, and you won't consume as many calories as that entire plate would, lead you towards. I know these sound a bit like harsh or boring, but we have to remember that right now we're on a particular goal, and we are just giving you suggestions to fulfill your goals in this challenge. We're not saying that you should be doing this forever and ever, but we're doing it particularly for this challenge.
One more option, they can use a calorie budgeting. They can save the 100 and 200 calories every
yes.
day.
So this is something we discussed last week only, is that if you know that you have a weekend coming out where you've got like plans which are gonna, you won't be able to control all of this, then just be mindful of it throughout the week, right? Just make better choices or save up the calories for that weekend where you're going to be eating out and you don't want to be worrying about what I eat or how I eat it. So just fucking go for it, right? But like make better choices during the week so that you don't have to worry on the particular day. Now, you guys are free to drop the questions while we're moving forward to the next topic. The next topic was new calorie deficit targets. Okay, this one is important The reason it's important is because we are now diving into week 4. And like I explained on Monday when you guys came for your workout, and like I explained on Monday, that things start to get a little bit more monotonous by this time. You will also start to feel monotonous when it comes to your weight. Things might start getting plateaued. Here is where you will have to shift gears yourself.
मैंने कर दिया
Oh.
सॉरी वो मेरा था disconnect.
Right, sorry. Here's how you will have to shift gears yourself. And that's through going into further deficit than you've already been in. So let's say that you have reduced your calories from 2000 that you were consuming in these past 3 weeks. And now you want to shift gears, so you have to go into further deficit. You've already increased your activity levels by spending the 10-15 minutes that we've been recommending after your workouts, going for that walk or that jog or spending it on the bike or whatever it is. So the activity levels are already higher. Now, we don't want to go too high on the activity levels. We've already achieved that goal. Now what we have to do is we have to see where we can tweak our meals further to reduce the calories we are consuming on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, right? So how do deficits happen? Simple thing is that you will have to watch what you eat even more carefully. Somewhere, right? You will have to watch what you eat even more carefully. So the food that you're the food intake that you're doing, you will have to reduce what? Portion control?
So that's one thing. Other thing is that you increase the volume of the food. So that would mean that you have more low calorie foods that you can consume in larger quantities. Like you'd have more salads. You would add more
Watermelon.
fruit in your diet, like low calorie, like watermelon in season. So you can have like a big bowl of watermelon or any kind of like berries, for example. Uske alawa, you can have yogurt, like you can mix your protein powder in yogurt. So that fills you up. So basically, you want to now look into alternatives. This is where it gets a bit tricky because these foods you may not enjoy as much as you would your, say, like your bread, for example. But like now you would switch out your, like your high, like denser food items with like high volume items. Like again, like I said, salad, like fruits, like yogurt. You would drink a lot more water. You would also increase like your fat intake a little bit so that you get fuller faster. So these changes, these are now where you have to really like start educating yourself a little bit more, get in touch with your accountability coaches that help you choose better options. Now you have so many, even in Pakistan, you have so many alternatives for like you have Fit Scoop, you have things like you get Greek yogurt very easily. You get these protein drinks very easily. So all of these things are available to you. You just have to find the right resources. Sorry, you were saying something?
Yeah, so like Karen is saying, like this is where it gets tough, and we can say it firsthand because you have to find substitutes to what you've been eating, which have
Already been a change.
which are probably not going to be the same taste, right? They might not give you the same satisfaction, right? But what they will be doing is that they'll bring you into lower calorie counts. So for example, instead of that piece of bread that you usually have, you are now substituting that with more portions of the salad, right? So you're trying to fulfill or you're trying to eat more salad so that that piece of bread goes away. So for example, Zara yesterday on the transformation group shared a picture of her salad, which was the chicken Caesar salad. And then she had a slice of bread, which was placed on the tray as well. Basically, that portion of the salad needs to go up and that slice of bread needs to go away.
So another trick, basically now you have to start tricking your brain a little bit. So what you want to do is choose if you still crave something, right? Keep it, keep it. But like first fill yourself up with a high volume food. And if you still feel like you're not satisfied, then you can also take a piece of that bread, for example. And another thing that you want to do, have like different textures of food in your meal, because you don't want to eat the same thing in one meal and you feel like you're full but not really. So the different textures of food will help you feel fuller for a longer period.
Substitutes can also include stuff like, like if you're having like, if you've been having chicken and let's say keema, right? And now you're like, I need to shift gears. So then there are other meats which are lower when it comes to the way they can be cooked. So it's easier to cook them. So for example, codfish, very high in lean protein, right? And it's much better than it comes to minced meat, right? So much better in the sense that for the focus of the lean muscle gain, right? You can also cook it in a much more, I would say, simpler manner. So you can bake it with very little to no oil. You can like
Cooking spray.
or cooking spray that you can use, versus when it comes to like minced meat, making that with like cooking spray is going to be a fucking hassle.
No, it's not. Fresh basket,
It's so easily
frames,
available.
nahi, everyone. सबके पास होता है.
No, making mince meat
Has
with,
to
in
To make things that are
that's what I'm saying, na,
तो
making
पानी में पक जाता है ना.
पानी में पकता है लेकिन फिर वो उसका टेस्ट बहुत ही अजीब सा हो जाएगा, right?
मैं तेरे को बना के सही बात दूंगी.
अच्छा भाई, नाजिया से बना लेना वो next week, पानी में. Where do you get? I'm gonna come to the questions, guys. Don't worry. So again, this is a substitute. You see this a lot with bodybuilders. Closer to their competition time, most bodybuilders shift to like white fish, right? They start having a lot of cod, because it kind of just helps you with that. Are you puking or what?
You just said fish.
Okay. Right. So that's the other. There was a discussion going on my accountability group the other day, which was like, we're sick and tired of having brown rice and white rice, right? That's fine, right? There are the solutions to brown rice and white rice, which are stuff like quinoa. What is that? Couscous.
You can also have like lower quantities of spaghetti as well. That's very low
Lower-
glycemic index.
lower quantities of spaghettis, low GI in them. So again, it's all about finding a little bit or shifting substitutes, finding some substitutes that can help you reach the deficit, that if you are still unhappy with the goals that you were trying to achieve, then this is the shift you need to start incorporating in the next week and the week after at least, okay?
But should also be prepared for low energy levels.
And this is what I'm going to come to now. There is another thing that you have to keep in mind that this will do. And this is the third topic: effects of calorie deficit on muscle growth and performance, right? This is the topic that I was talking about. So you have to think about it this way. When you are consuming fewer calories, you have fewer calories available for energy. It's going to happen, which will result in a few things. You might break more muscle tissue down. And you will start using muscle tissue to fuel yourself.
If you don't have enough protein.
If you don't have enough protein, if your calories are also going down, so then what will happen is that your muscle will start to tear down. And the retention and the growth of your muscle will start taking a beating, which necessarily might not be your goal, right? Your goal might be that I want to increase lean muscle. I want to get hench, look fit, but I also don't want to get fat. So the protein intake has to remain high so that the muscle keeps repairing and recovering. And you don't start using your muscle when you go into a deficit to give your body the energy to keep doing what they're doing. Then the next thing, energy. When you are trying, what you're doing in training, when you come for the 3 days or the 4 days and 5 days, when you come to Matrix Fit or you go wherever else for your extra training, your muscle requires energy to build, to grow, right? So sleep, You have to prioritize the target that we set last week, which was focused on getting better sleep, hydration, the supplements that we recommended last week to help you with inflammation, to help you with your recovery. While you're going in a deficit, you have to start prioritizing these things so that the body naturally starts finding balance, so that it doesn't go into complete shutdown. Number three, if you don't, well, not number three, if you don't do what we're saying, which is the protein, which is the more focused recovery protocols, you are going to see a decrease in energy, in performance, in strength, and you might start feeling, or you might start getting injured. This is not what our goal is in this transformation challenge. We are not advising you to do this. Okay, so you have to be sure that when you are doing the deficit, take suggestions from your accountability coaches if the measures that you're trying to make are actually suitable, and how quickly you're trying to adapt to them are actually suitable or not. And the recovery protocols need to be in par with them. Because if you don't do the two things in a sustainable manner, you are going to start seeing lower metabolic rates. When you see lower metabolic rates, you can run all you want on fuel that is not actually helping you burn or help you reach the right goals. So you're actually not going to achieve your goals any faster. In fact, you will actually see your body tear down, right? And your body will start to use the muscle that you built in all these years of training, and will start to use that muscle to break your body down. And eventually what will happen is that your body will start to go into reverse mode. So, key takeaways this fall. Make better choices when you go out. Go out, eat out. No one's saying don't eat out. Go out, eat out, but make better choices when choosing from the menu. Ask for alternatives that you now know based on the 4 weeks you've spent with us, that what are better options for me from the menu. Request them to make those changes for your meal and do it accordingly. We've asked you to ask for better portion control, breaking your meal into separate portions when you order them, etc., right? The next thing is going into deficit. Don't go into deficit by skipping meals. Don't go into deficit by completely giving up on foods you love. Just go into deficit, very small deficits, 100 calories, 150 calories, by making better substitutes to your existing choices of food. Third, when you're going into deficit, be sure to keep in mind that this deficit will have an impact on your body's energy, metabolic rate, and performance. In order to avoid these things, make better sustainable steps, take better sustainable steps to do that, and request or ask your accountability coaches for them. And when you do that, do not let go of your protein intake, and do not let go of your recovery protocols that we shared last week. Those are the key tips we have for this week. This next week will be week 4 of our training cycle, after which we will be going into a mini deload before ramping things back up for the last 3 weeks. We are also coming up with some really exciting solutions for your meals, which for those of you that are still struggling to stick to a meal plan or to make food at home, for that, we're trying to find a solution for you that can help you get over that. So watch out for that. Now, I'm going to go over quickly on these questions. I thought the pancakes there were healthy, especially the oatmeal ones. The oatmeal ones, okay, Evergreen, just for everybody's attention here, yeah? I have nothing against Evergreen. I love Evergreen. Evergreen is not a healthy restaurant. It's not. Evergreen is only marketed as a healthy restaurant. If you actually look at the food Evergreen uses, it's a very normal restaurant.
And their calories are incorrect.
And their calories are incorrect. 100% they're incorrect. When you order their wrap, you're thinking, oh, this is spinach wrap. That's bullshit, right? It's still a wrap. It's still got dressing in it. It's still got all the condiments in it, which a normal wrap would have. Yes, it's not a hot and spicy wrap, but it's still a wrap, right? So it's not like I don't have their wraps. I do have their wraps. But what I do request them to do is don't add the dressing in it. Just give me the dressing on the side. Because a lot of times it's these dressings that are actually bumping up your calories to an extent where you don't even realize, all right? And what I do is I ask them to add more chicken to it so that the protein is there, right? So the oatmeal pancakes are healthy, but
More
I'm
calories,
pretty
not
sure
more
they're
calories.
making it in
Yeah,
canola
yeah,
oil.
ingredients.
I'm pretty sure they're making it in canola
Yeah,
oil,
yeah.
right? So, right?
Like, it's fine as long as you tell them to cook it in like less butter, less oil. Because
We-
even if the chicken they're cooking it.
So
They're not grilling it.
the ingredients of the oatmeal might be good, but the way they fried it may not be the best thing for you, right? So again, request them for that. Syrup and whipped cream, whipped cream, we've already explained. Okay, I've got a question from Zara. Hello, I'm not looking to lose weight per se, but would really like to lose fat and gain muscle. So here's the question. Is it possible to lose said fat and gain said muscle without being in a calorie deficit? I know I'm consuming less fat and more protein and generally making better choices, but I don't necessarily have a deficit in calories. Do you guys want to take this question? Nazia, you want to come here?
मैं यही से जवाब दूँ।
आ जाओ ना, शक्ल दिखाओ, फिर शर्मा रही
ओके ज़ारा, सो आपको वजन लूज करने के लिए, वेट लॉस के लिए, अगर वेट लॉस नहीं भी करना है या फैट लॉस करना है, उसके लिए you have to be in a deficit. Then you have to choose the macros in the correct way, like you are in my group. So जैसे you are taking care of fat because पहले तुम्हारी डाइट में बहुत ज़्यादा फैट था, but you are considering the other choices also. So I think you are in a deficit. You think you are not in a deficit, but without deficit, you can't lose fat, right? So if you think that without that,
doesn't want to lose fat.
she wants to lose fat, but she doesn't want to lose weight. But without deficit, you can't lose fat. So you have to be in a deficit. And I think you are not a beginner anymore because you are doing training since years. So gain muscle and the same time losing fat will be difficult for you. Maybe in start it will be okay for some days or weeks, but eventually फिर वो है muscle जो है आपका lose होना शुरू हो जाता है. So either you have to work on increase muscle mass first, then go into fat loss phase. This is my suggestion, but I think what right now you are doing, I think you are in a deficit, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, she's consuming more protein
yeah.
and less fat.
So
Yeah,
she's
she is.
doing it right.
Yeah, she
she's
is doing
doing
it
fine.
right because she thinks she's not a deficit, but she is in a deficit
Okay, cool.
because she have better choices. आगे क्या है?
Right, and then let's go. Cod is Dama. What?
Cod is dama fish. Urdu में.
Why do we plateau if we stay in a deficit? You want to take this? Ishita?
You can, but I can. So,
Go for it.
your body, your metabolism doesn't slow down, but you adapt to those calories basically. So when you're consuming an X amount of calories, your body gets used to functioning. What happened?
Nothing.
Oh, so your body gets used to functioning on those amount of calories, and then you have to lower them down a little bit more for your body to keep losing fat. So the adaptation phase happens, which is why you don't stay on a diet for a very long time, which is why this challenge is also only 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, you go back to your maintenance calories, and if you still have like a weight loss goal, you can take a diet break and then go back into deficit calories.
The other reason why you plateau is also it's very similar to you have to look at it in this way, guys. You know, when you do a program, right? When you come for a training cycle, right? The start of the cycle, your body gets really sore, right? You like every workout, you're feeling like, oh my God, my legs are really sore. my back's sore. Every workout kind of makes you feeling. And by week 3, by week 4, that soreness starts to go slightly lower. That doesn't mean that you're not working efficiently. That doesn't mean that you're plateauing. It just means that your body is adapting to the new system, right? So just like that, if I make you eat 3 eggs for 1 year, right, and eventually your body is going to get so used to that it won't respond the same way that it did in the start, right? So now if you kind of change that by increasing the protein or by changing the eggs with something else, your body will start to react a bit differently and respond a bit differently. But you have to try to find ways to keep your body guessing. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do that on a week-to-week basis. It just means that when you're starting to feel that, okay, things aren't moving at the pace that they were at the start, don't freak out. This happens. This is part of the process, right? What you have to do is you have to focus on consistency, right? Consistency with the commitment that you've made to the goals that you're doing. So consistency means that when you're plateauing, if you are that one day where your calories are going actually higher than they should be, eliminate that one day now, right? This is where the small changes start to come in place. Is that 1% difference, right? That's where it starts to get harder. Those 12 repetitions that you're doing in a class, before maybe the 8 reps that you were actually focusing on, and then the 4 reps you were actually just bullshitting your way across. Now is the time where you have to shift that mindset, and all 12 repetitions need to be done with intention. So that 1% change in your adaptability starts to happen, right?
I also want to add something here. This is where your activity outside the gym also starts to play a more important role, because now that there's only so many calories you can reduce in terms of your food, right? So you just want to be more active outside the gym as well. Like I know BT tells you guys to do like a walk outside before or after the class. You can also do that outside the gym, like even if you're at your work, with your phone, if you're on your phone, just walk while you're talking. These small changes are going to make your needs actually go higher, which is where you actually lose the most amount of weight.
And this is where the recovery protocols start to come in, right? This is where we're saying the supplements, the lifestyle, the sleep, all of these are the things that will help you overcome this plateau. Okay, next question. Is L-carnitine a good supplement to fat?
नहीं ये वाला है.
Why do we हो गया.
Why do we play?
हो गया, हो
Your
गया,
metabolism.
हो गया.
Does my that
हो गया सब.
L-carnitine a good supplement to fat? I'll have to get back to you on this one, right?
no,
We'll let me read through this because I've never taken it. I know that I took L-carnitine once just for better recovery. I don't know if it's good for fat. So मतलब deficit जरूरी है fat loss के लिए जी. इसका सीधा ही जवाब है. इसका इसमें कोई साइंस नहीं है, मतलब आपका सही है. Okay, so we are going to give you a response on the L-carnitine thing. Other than that, this is all we have. Hashir has very generously also summarized today's call. So Hashir is free to share it on the group, or I'll share it when he does. You can burn more fat by staying in zone 2 during long runs. Is that a question or are you making a statement?
वो fat loss का जवाब दे रहे हैं, deficit की बात कर रहे हैं.
Yeah, statement.
Of course,
Boom.
Saju doesn't ask questions, not a statement.
I mean, we agree with that statement, which is why the zone 2, which is why a lot of our Monday, Tuesday, Thursday sessions are in zone 2, and then we're recovering you to stay in that zone 2 after the sessions, just to keep burning the fat. When you guys go out for a walk or when you go out for a jog or whatever it is. Run in zone 2 people 80% of the time. Yeah, if you can, right? That's someone just given you a
Like
thumbs
8
down.
seconds, 80% of your day. Is that what you're trying to say? Or do you
No,
mean that
he's saying run. If you want to burn fat, you should run in
Overall weekly mileage, yeah, not
I
80%.
Correct.
totally understand.
Correct. If you can include that in the process. of your trading. Right. That's all we have for today, folks. Thank you for joining in. The thumbs down is me agreeing and being upset, not disagreeing. Hey, the kind of syrup you had on your pancakes, you've done the zone too. We're just kidding. We're very proud of all the progress you're all making, to be honest. Afaz, Abdullah,
इरफाज अभी तो चौथा हफ्ता शुरू हुआ है,
Afaz,
अभी से sad हो
Abdullah,
गए।
absolutely blown away.
And Venus,
Futeja,
Venus is
I
not
mean,
here, but Abdullah
Futeja has
is with
been
you.
great. Where's Zara? Asher
Zara
has
is
always been
also
a
doing great.
legend. Has Asher left? No, he's here. Asher's, I mean, we're learning more from Asher than Asher is learning from us. But yeah, guys, just keep at it. We're almost done. We're more than halfway done, and you guys are killing it. Yeah. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Cheers. Good night.